So in Unit 16, Part 1, we talked about similar and congruent figures. We gave some definitions and looked at kind of what it means for something to be similar or congruent. In Part 2, we're going to look at similarity and measurement. So a lot of using similarity equals multiply unknown and things like that. So the first part says finding an unknown side length in similar figures. So find the specified side length. Number 1 says given triangle ABC is similar to triangle JKL, find JL. So what we need to remember when we're dealing with side lengths, the ratios are the same. The ratios of the side lengths are the same. So there's a couple ways we can do this. The first thing that I'm going to show you is we're going to match up sides. So AB over here corresponds, again, remember they go in alphabetical order, so AB is going to match up with JK on this other one. Then I'm going to say that AC on this first one, 42. So that's the first letter and the last letter would match up with the first letter and the last letter. So that matches up with JL, which is X. Okay. So again, this is AC and that's JL. And then AB is 30 and JK is 25. So now I can write my proportion and I can solve. So I have 30 over 25 is equal to 42 over X. And then to solve the proportion, I can cross multiply and divide. So that's going to give me 30X equals 1050. I divide by 30 and I will get, so I give myself some more room, X equals 35 feet. So X equals 35 feet. Alright, so what we did on the first one was we did a side on the first triangle over the side it matches up with on the other triangle. And then we did a second side on the first triangle over a second side on the other triangle. So let's look at our second example. It says given PQRS is similar to WXYZ, find WX. So let's start by matching up sides. I have RQ or QR right here. I just put it in alphabetical order, so I made it QR. QR is in the middle, which means it's going to match up with XY. So XY would be 44. Now, I'm going to do this on a different way. I'm going to put the first side on the top, and then the first side on the top of the other one. So I can do it that way. So QR and XY match up. Then I can go back to the first one, and I have PQ, because again I'm going to put it in alphabetical order. PQ is the first two letters, so that's going to match up with WX, which are the first two letters on the other one. So hopefully you can tell a little bit of difference between the way I did these, but again it's still going to work out because it's going to match up the same. So when I write my proportion, QR is 16 over PQ, which is 20. XY is 44 over WX, which is X in this case. So I have my proportion, I can cross multiply and solve. I'll leave that for you to go ahead and solve that out. The next part says using indirect measurement. So it says a woman who is 64 inches tall is standing by a lamppost and has a height of 112 inches. The woman's shadow is 20 inches long. Find the length of the lamppost shadow. So these are really popular questions when we're talking about this similarity. So you want to start by making two drawings. So let's pretend that this is the lady. Great drawing, I know. Okay. Our lady is 64 inches tall. And we know that she's going to have a shadow. We also have a lamppost, which looks surprisingly like a person as well. The lamppost is 112 inches tall. And we know that that has a shadow as well. So the woman's shadow is 20 inches, and we're trying to find the lamppost shadow. So that's going to be X. So there's a couple ways you can do this. I could do the height of the woman, which is 64, over the height of the lamppost, which means I would then do the shadow of the woman over the shadow of the lamppost. So I can write my proportion like that. I could say the height of the woman over the shadow of the woman equals the height of the lamppost over the shadow of the light was. Either way I write it, and there's more ways you could write this, but if you'll notice, the 64 and the x are going to wind up across from each other. So I'm going to wind up getting the right answer no matter which way I do that. So I would cross multiply and divide, so let's say I'm going to use the second one. I would get 64x equals 2,240, sorry I had to look at my paper. Then I'm going to divide by 64, and I'll get x equals 35. And we're working in inches, so I need to make sure I put that in inches. So, indirect measurement, our problems you're going to see quite a bit. On the back side, the next thing we're going to do, it says using algebra and similar figures. So these can get kind of tricky, so make sure you pay attention. It says given triangle PQR is similar to triangle STR, find QT. So we're looking for QT, which is this measurement right here. So I have two triangles, and it might help to redraw them. So my first triangle I'm going to draw is the bigger triangle. So that's PQR. And I know the measurements of that are 25. And then I have x and 18, so I'm going to write that as x plus 18. Then I'm going to draw my smaller triangle, which I'm not actually worried about drawing it smaller. I just need to draw its dimensions, which would be S, T, and R. So this triangle right here. That triangle is going to have a height of 15 and a base of 18. So now if you look, I have two similar triangles that I can make a proportion out of. So I can go 25 over x plus 18 equals 15 over 18. So that was the height of the first one, of the big one, over the base of the big one, and then the height of the small one over the base of the small one. I can do it that way. There's multiple ways that you can write this out. The big thing is you want these diagonal from each other. So I'll have 15 times the quantity x plus 18 equals 25 times 18, which is going to give me 450. So I have to do the distributive property here. That'll give me 15x plus 270 equals 450, and then it's just a two-step problem. So I'm going to subtract 270 from both sides, and I'll get 15x equals 180, and then I'll divide both sides by 15, and I'll get x equals 12. So that'll be my answer, and that should be 12 meters. Alright, I'll leave the second one for you, and then there's some review problems at the bottom. Make sure you fill out everything that I did not, and ask me questions if you have.